Excellent!
What's up guys, welcome to part 2 of my home remodel documentary. In part 1 we did demolition and that ended on Sunday. It is now Monday and my contractor started right away with some electrical work that's getting done. So they are canceling the old lights, they have added new holes for the new lights, they're going to be centered a little bit more, they're going to be spaced out a little bit better to provide more even lighting, and they're going to be LED. They've been working really quickly this morning, and in fact the ones in the hall are already wired up and lit up. And again, these holes are where the old lights used to be. Pro tip though, if you're ever planning on putting recessed lights in your ceiling, maybe consider doing the blown-in insulation after that. I had the blown-in insulation done quite a few years ago now, so this was just a distant thing in the future that was going to happen. But we're also adding more lights over here that the wiring is coming out for, so this is going to provide a bunch more light in this area. Prior to now we only had this single light in this entire area over here, so we had to supplement with other lights, which wasn't a huge deal but a little inconvenient. They're setting up space over here to do, like, you know, switches, controls, three-way switches and stuff like that. And then over on this side where the home theater setup is going to be, where we've had the wall mount for the TV in the past, they're going to do a pass-through so that I can get Ethernet and power and other stuff like that from this is my internet down here in the corner now. And then they've also been cutting some holes in the wall for routing stuff here and here, and oh, and they're going to add another outlet down there. That will be a convenient spot for that too, because prior to now we've only had one over here and one over there, which isn't necessarily the most convenient. So they've only been working for about a half a day so far, and I haven't really been documenting it as it's going on. This isn't really like a time-lapse situation for this, I don't think. But the electrical work should be finishing off on Wednesday, and then towards the end of the week they're expected to get started on the drywall, and that's going to be a huge job. It's going to take about another week. Oh yeah, another thing in that first video that I mentioned was we had exterminators coming by, and in case you were wondering why they were showing up, just perfect timing to discover this. So down here underneath my desk, over up against the wall, I discovered little piles of dirt, and basically it was determined that those were ground termites. Oh no. Fortunately they're at the edge of the property on the far edge of the garage, so not like a threat to the main house. But the exterminators came by this morning, and if you're wondering how they treat something like that, basically they drilled 3 holes down through the foundation into the dirt, and then they got something that goes in there and does like a rotation thing and like spreads a bunch of this delicious termite poison out there that the termites pick up, bring back to the queen, and it kills the nest. So they did 3 drill holes here, and then they did 3 more here on the outside of the garage, so hopefully that should take care of that. One thing I can do now is I've had this Amazon delivery this morning, which was a fitting adapter copper thing, not to be too specific. This is a brass adapter, GHT, which is garden hose thread, to a female 1/2" NPTF male. At least that's what Amazon is calling it. And the basic idea is the hose goes in that end, and then the sink faucet goes on that end. That appears to fit. Oh, I actually think I ordered the right piece. So now I should be able to turn on the hose, and that should be able to feed water up to the sink. Then we can use the sink to wash dishes and stuff. What I do need is a bucket. Alright, bucket goes under there. This spigot leaks a little bit, so we're only going to turn it on when we need to use the sink. There we go. Ah, that's pretty solid there. Well, I gotta try this out before Hero gets wet. Look at that. Bit of water in the line, but check it out. We have a sink, an outside sink with excellent drainage. This should be helpful for washing dishes, especially if we've got anything nasty to wash. Skipping forward now a little bit, guys, it is the end of the week, and we actually had about 3 days worth of work going on this week, and it was all with electrical rough-in. They're going to try to get the drywall kicked off yesterday or today, but there's one thing over here in the kitchen that we're going to fix first, and then they're going to be starting first thing on Monday. So this week was the electrical rough-in. Next week is going to be the drywall, skim coating, fixing up all the holes that were made and stuff. But let's go over what the electricians finished with the rough-in. So lighting is a lot of what the electrical stuff was going to be doing, and they're basically installing these 4-inch LEDs all over the place. And I like them because they're pretty bright. They give a nice, somewhat warm glow, and we're gonna have 4 here in the kitchen. They wired up some of them so they'll still work with the existing switches, just so we can have some lights for the next week or so until they come in and finish stuff off. But you can see where the old recessed lights were. Those have been removed. They're going to be patched over when the drywall happens, and then we got like a nice line of the new ones going down the hallway here. So that should provide more light, better light, and should also use less power, so that's pretty cool. I realized in the demo video I never showed you guys the end result of the bathroom, but this strip of carpet we pulled from the little step up in the living room. The bathroom has been reassembled, so I got the toilet over there, shimmed it up with some wood shims, which you're not supposed to do long term, but it only needs to last a week or so. And I managed to get all the hookups going again for this sink, so that's great because having another sink to wash dishes here and there and just get general bathroom stuff done is really, really nice. Also, the GFCI outlet in this bathroom failed a while back, and that's when we discovered that it was wired improperly. It was on the same circuit with some of the bedrooms, so that has been fixed. These GFCI outlets in both of our bathrooms now have dedicated lines going to them with dedicated breakers. They did have to cut some holes in the wall to do that, but this is all going to be patched along with the drywall. Over here in the home theater area, they did do a mid-wall plug here for the TV, and they actually also ran some Ethernet from down here where the internet comes in, up and through the attic and then down to this plug here. And I'm actually going to have multiple things in this area that require internet access, including the HTPC, which is probably still going to be wall mounted over here. And then I'm going to be putting in some shelves and stuff, so I still might need to get somewhat creative with Ethernet running to make sure I have internet going to the devices that need it. But again, my plan for this corner is to sort of get a little fence set up, temporary fence set up while Hannah is still young, to sort of block that stuff off so we can have TV going and not worry about her clawing at stuff. Interesting thing about some of the holes they cut in the wall over here, going up to the ceiling and everything, and again, that's one of the old cans for the old lights. Out here in the living room we have 6 of the new LEDs going out here that are a little bit more centered. Oh, Joe's back, by the way. He's going to be helping me in a minute. Funny thing here though is this is actually the back of the main panel that's outside the house, so they were able to punch through here to feed some of the wires for running new wires for various things, because we really needed new circuits for a lot of the stuff in the house since the house was originally wired up back in the 60s when it was built. More circuits for things like GFCI outlets in the kitchen and everything are something that we're going to be adding. More LEDs out here in the living room area. Again, they just got the cans installed, and once they do the final electrical they will fill all that stuff out. We're also going to be getting special dimmer switches for the boxes and stuff down here. Got some temporary tool storage over here, but finally along this wall, just again more outlets. There was already, I think, 2 outlets on this wall. We're adding a third just so they're evenly spaced along there. Had to cut some more holes for running some more wire. And then over here we're gonna have that countertop, and there was a outlet down here that's going to be removed, and originally it was just going to be removed, and I decided, why don't we move it up the wall so that this countertop can be a little bit more functional. If we want to set a stand mixer or something like that that requires power on there, we can do that. The kitchen though is where we're going to be finishing work today, or doing some additional work. First off, let me show you what has been done. We're getting GFCI outlets, so there's going to be a GFCI outlet here, 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 and here. We're adding a switch here for a couple pendant lights that are going to go on either side of the range hood. We're still going to have a single light up here over the sink, so there's going to be a switch for that right there, and then we've got an outlet down there for the garbage disposal, and then there's going to be a switch for the garbage disposal over there. I also got a pro tip from the demolition video, and I sealed up, or at least covered this up so we don't get exhaust or fumes from the sewer coming through. For some reason I was very keen on doing that in the bathroom, but out here in the kitchen I totally forgot. As you guys can probably see though, it just made sense to cut a large section out of the drywall here in order to run all these wires for all the outlets and stuff needed in the kitchen. Last one over here is for the refrigerator, by the way. But you also might be noticing, or maybe you're not, I don't know, depends how much work you do in construction. This is an exterior wall and there is absolutely zero insulation in it. Now for California, depending on when your house was built, that's actually not too out of the ordinary. California has pretty good weather. That's supposedly one of the reasons people tend to pay a lot of money to live here. That said, insulation is good if it can be installed. And the other thing about this drywall back here is this is standard drywall, whereas in bathrooms and kitchens and places where it might get wet, they install a different type of drywall called green wall, which is waterproof. So because one, we want to do green wall here instead of the regular drywall, so that involves removing the existing drywall, and then two, because there's no insulation there, and with the drywall off, it's actually pretty easy to just pop in some insulation. We're going to remove this drywall, and then when they come to do the rest of the drywall work next week, they'll add some insulation, add some green board, and then we will have a better situation here in the kitchen. So as you guys have been noticing, Joe, who is my editor ostensibly, but has been helping out with many other things, is helping me out once again today, pulling some drywall out. We're gonna get some masks up in here. We're gonna seal off the back of the house so we don't get too much dust in different places, and we'll show you guys what we find behind the drywall. Hopefully it's nothing.
You jinxed
Oh yes, drywall knife. Drywall knife.
Sorry, yeah.
Also using this just to double check, you know. Power yes, power no. No power going through these. Thankfully, yay. The hand method.
That doesn't work. Ow.
Ow. There you go. It's a lot of drywall. Oh, I found the old exhaust for the dryer. That's where the dryer used to be. It's just filled with cement now. Cement.
Well, there it is. This wall has now been demolished. All the drywall, wherever we could get at it. Found some interesting things like where different pipe work is going from different places, and some of the stuff in my house is going through the slab, which is the old way of doing it. Most newer stuff, I think they go up through the house so you can actually get at it to fix it, but these two copper lines, for example, are feeding over to my washer dryer. This is a gas line coming down, which is also going all the way down there and then going over to feed the washer dryer. And if you're wondering why we've decided to go with green wall for this, I mean, you might notice there's a fair amount of plumbing as well as drainage in this wall, and there's always the potential for leaks. And even if there are leaks and you go and you get them fixed by a plumber, they might have leaked different places. So this isn't the best example, but there's a couple pieces of old drywall right here that were damaged down at the bottom by leaks. That's bad. You want to avoid that if possible. The green wall can hold up a little bit better against that stuff. So that was part one of the reason why we decided to go ahead and do this. Part two is going to be to add some insulation to this wall. Long term, I think what I'm going to try to do for insulation elsewhere in the house, specifically in the areas where we get a lot of sunlight during the day, we might do the external blown-in insulation where they make a little hole and they inject it. I've heard mixed reviews on how effective that kind of stuff is, but we just have a little bit of cleanup to do here, and then it's Friday, so I think we're gonna grab some lunch and a beer. Hero's inspecting, he says it's good. Hero shouldn't be in here. All right, I think that is a conclusion for the demo of the drywall on this wall, and now it is time for Moose Drool from Big Sky Brewing Company in Missoula, Montana. Delicious, delicious brown ale. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Joe.
It's not construction work if you're not drinking. Sophie drinking.
Drinking. Cheers.
It's 12 o'clock, by the way, yeah.
Lunchtime. We're at Chili's. We got some Dos Equis hamburger. The tall ones, of course. Quite delicious. And then we got some food because sustenance is very important. We're gonna eat this food right now.
I got dipped in Negro and ranch.
That's fine. I have no problem with that. These egg rolls, it's fine. You try one, try one. These are really good egg rolls. One of them might be blue cheese, I'm not sure.
Really good, yeah?
Yep, good.
It's cheesy. Like it.
Alright guys, that's all for our meal. That's all for the work for the week. That's all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Man, that sun is really bright right now.
It's warm already.
Next week, drywall, mudding, very exciting stuff like that, and of course some more tech videos coming at you really soon. Huge thank you to Joe for all of his work this week and last weekend and everything. I'm gonna go take a nap or something. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Later.